Okay, I gotta clean up this stupid thing again. Probably just need to prune my own containers. Again, this is not gonna say error prone, but it needs more resources than I devoted to it. While it's cooking, because I think this is about figured out now. What I probably need to work on, and I'm going to need mouse to do this, is get the front end into a container too, the same kind, because then we can assemble them together as a pod, and they should be able to talk to each other. I'll let her know. Because it's looking like the back end, besides my container environment not really cooperating as I tinker with stuff, the program itself cooperated entirely for running in a container. So the back end is basically already containerized. So I can at least scratch off one thing today so far. What else did I got 2 stars and an arrow up for my backlog stuff. Where's the backlog? So while that's still cooking, pretty much this is what we've been working on. And it doesn't really help mouse get away from running Nginx because you still need to connect your local front end to the container back end. But it does mean they don't have to set up a Python environment, which is helpful. There go packages. Move the code in. And also I should brag a little bit. It set up its own blank database when it fired up. So it didn't depend on anything that's not in the repo. You can just deploy it and go. Now we're going to need to import our data if we want to keep the test database, but and if we run this, run it attached, okay, so that's that. Oh, I need to put a API. Okay, so not logged in, but the server is now responding, so I'm gonna call that checked off. It's not really, nothing's ever really done forever, but that should pretty much cover up that. And now that I've got the back end talking, does the front end cooperate a little more? I don't even know how to get to the login screen since they redesigned it. I try not to get in anyone's way, but oh, we got a logout button. I don't know if that's actually working or not. Okay, maybe I need to restart this thing. And yep, it's definitely running a dev server that's connecting, but Axios failing. What I think maybe my own web server is not forwarding it correctly, but still, that's as far as I can get with just from the back end today. Next, I think we wanted to let people change their username, email, and password because Mouse was already working on the front end for that, and there was no back end API endpoint for it. So, where are we at with this? We're up to date. Oh, short file now. Great. Okay, so for this, just repeating what I did on my container VM. And this will be, what is it? Hi, you alright, kid? And this will be under profile? No. So this has API user. I don't think I even decided what the name for this endpoint should be. So we got all these API endpoints so far. So it's definitely going to be in profile. Something like API user. That's to look up a user record. So let's call this like user update. They could submit whatever they want for stuff to be changed. So this would be, that's probably a blueprint. I gotta remember how this all goes. Oh, and that's all right, let's get all the correct facts here. So it's supposed to look like that. Copy for reference, and I think the way we're going to do it is profile blueprint route. Didn't do bad there. Login required post. And flipped them around. Okay, so there's our new signature. This would be updates, username, email, and password. So I could have, like, I remember writing this. I think I must have lost the update while I was messing with the Git history somehow. I deleted some of my own work. But this fetches a user. The user should already be known in this variable from the login verification decorator. And our usual pattern. Let's do one like a forum API endpoint, besides all the documentation. We're going to do a statement, hit the database for something. And this is like query stuff, but let's get one that posts something. The less I have to think, the better the code I make will actually be. Create a new post. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Okay, so that's basically the format we need. I'll put this in a little scratch pad. Okay, so here's the gist of it. We are going to pull a bunch of data out, which will be, in this case, username, email, password. We're going to return a bunch of exceptions if stuff is missing. Then we may not have to do any of that because we're just modifying the user, which the user that's logged in is handed to the API call when it verifies that they're logged in. And from there, probably nothing to add. So commit and then return success. That's basically the gist of it. So we'll put this in here and start hacking and slashing away. So we'll say, and this is going to say data.get because it's not mandatory. Same thing. And some exceptions would be username, email. So if you don't submit anything to change, then it won't work. And let's just check that too, that if let's see. If they pass an empty string, then just don't try to change it, same thing. So I don't think we need to find a category or create a new item. The way I see this working now would be let's find the user objects. Or the model. Here's the user. It's going to have an email, a username, and a PW hash. Where's the PW hash actually come from? I think I need to look in, because I had everything all in one big file. It's probably an account. So if we look in accounts, it's going to have these two methods. This is the only place that uses them, but if we have a password change, maybe this belongs in the account blueprint anyway. Let's move it after I fix that. But the three things I'll have to do now would be if new username, and it'd be user dots. I took down the account thing. Email, username, and PW hash. That's what we got. So and this would be you know, can't have a duplicate username. Thanks for coming out. Have a great evening. I don't think we have any password rules. And the way that would work would be storable password, just like that. We don't need password rules. I'll tell you why. Every sysadmin knows this comic now. So when you have password rules that make your passwords look like, you know, special characters or stuff, that's it looks like a scary password, but it's actually really hard for people to remember, so they do stuff like reuse their password, which is way more dangerous than having a weak password. Or they write it down and it's just not easy for them to remember. If you have any rules at all, the only rule you should have is a minimum length. Because if the password is just, you know, and at this point, like, I think, like, the password, it might work to submit a blank password. That's not a useful password, blank. But yeah, there's no real reason to enforce like gibberish ones. If the front end wants to do like a meter that tells people like, hey, warning, this is a bad password, you should make it longer. Or like, you know, that strength meter that says like, oh, good, that's but that's all a front end thing. It doesn't actually affect what the back end will store for your password or whatever. Well, the difference is that the meter suggests that you should pick a better password, but it doesn't prevent you from using a weak one. And the best way to do it really would be to have two-factor authentication or OAuth, because people don't even really want a password anymore. What they really want is just like log in with Google, log in with Facebook, something like that. And then, you know, maybe Facebook or Google does the thing that shows you a code and you have to type in the number. And we don't have to do anything to support that. That's all through Google's account system when we do that. So, and that is on the roadmap pretty soon. But I still want to support username and password because some people just don't like connecting their accounts together. Hi, I'm one of them, and it's good to be able to create an account specifically for just the thing that you're logging into. I'm going to put this in as a stub right now to just change it. But you guys are already aware that, like, if you change your email with something, you don't just, like, get to type in an email and, like, yep, that's your email now. You actually have to, like, receive a email at the new address you put in and click verify before that becomes your new official email. So that's another instance of a workflow where there's multiple steps that could be, minutes, hours, or days apart that you complete each one. So that's work in progress. It's something I'm going to be building along with the tools for artists to submit art. I don't know. I don't have anything like that at the moment, but it wouldn't be terribly difficult to do because the secret is that all the login stuff is handled by these two decorators that check if you're logged in or not. So if I wanted to, like, check the logs for bad passwords, it would be pretty easy to put right in that decorator before it lets you do anything like login. Okay, and that's a pretty good stub. This will at least let Mouse start testing the facts of life with updating your profile. So what I'm gonna copy and paste that and delete it out of this. That shouldn't be different at all now, but this is the account blueprint. And the reason I'm going to put it here is because it does modify your password and needs that password logic, so that makes it fit in really well with this group. And that'll be now account blueprint. And now let's check if I have a different opinion on the name of it. I'm going to call it account update. Okay, so let's try that. Whoops. Fire this up. And let's try to communicate with it. So I think the thing to do here is it's up and running. So I need to create an account or log in. I don't remember. Let's go to read only. So I'm going to add a little to-do list. And the last one would be account update. Okay, so back to the command prompts. Let me make this big because it's about to be kind of a Okay, so first we're going to register a new account, and that just means putting in an email, username, password, and submitting it. Then we're going to log in, and we will create a cookie file with that. I know we're looking at revamping this, but for the time being, that's how we're going with it. And now if we submit the data, let's just start with password. And I'll call it Shibboleth2. And that would be API accounts update. Oh, I need my cookie jar. I forget how to do that. I have to write everything down because I forget everything. So where is who am I? Example. That's the one. Dash dash cookie. Okay, so someone like having their alarm go off? That's weird. Okay, server had a whoopsie. What does it say? Password is not defined. I was supposed to call it new password. Story of my life. Whoops. Put it in this one. Yeah. I need one extra terminal for this. Start that up again. And now the cookie should still be good, so I should just have to do that. Okay, so we updated a password. Let's update a and it's not actually validating it's a good email either, is it? What did it say there? The email says, probably forgot the word new again. Yep. I'm like barely reading, aren't I? Just trying to make up time, I think. And the username looks correct, so let's fire it up again. And email and username. Okay. So it actually doesn't have a message, but whatever. I'm kind of happy with that. Modified account blueprint. Good. And what was that API endpoint called? Account update. Okay. That's all cool. Let me make some check marks. Pagination, I'm not going to wrap up today. And what's the other one? Deleting threads. Could probably do that. So let's delete. Let's make thread deletion work for mouse right now. So Is it 10:45? Okay, not doing so bad on time. And that would be under the forum. Why is that already open? Okay, because I was reading it for examples. Okay, so let's find delete, post delete. Okay, so what this does right now is so when you delete something, it adds it to the edit log as a deletion, so that people that are deleting their posts or comments to avoid scrutiny for harassment, moderators will still have access to it until a GDPR request to purge all of their data comes in. What's missing from this is so moderators can find other stuff. It's obviously very easy when the when the user has access to the post they're deleting, but it's pretty complicated when a moderator has to use maintainer permissions to find it. But if not moderator, you fail. Okay, so post.edited equals none. Post.text. Hold on, reading my own code here. What does this do? So when you delete, post.userid equals 0, nobody. Post.text equals deleted by author or deleted by moderator. Post.edited, it takes off your timestamp and then it commits to the database. What we need to additionally do here is if the post that's being deleted is the OP, then you are deleting the whole thread. And I think actually what I was talking to Mouse about, refreshing my own memory here, is that we don't want to eradicate everybody's posts in the entire thread. Only moderators should be able to see posts that have been deleted, so that the threads can still be moderated even after they're taken off of the visible front page. And like be the edit history. So let's go to not the delete, because if it's marked deleted, that's going to be just fine. We can reply to a thread. We get a thread by ID. So what we'll do here is if the So if you're replying to a thread, if you're replying, it will fail if the author has been changed to nobody, meaning the post was deleted. Oh, but crayons only go on paper. No, and not doors either. JP, go draw on paper. Getting some new original works of art in here. JP, what are you about to color on? Is it paper?
No, don't you dare.
Hold on. You want some tape, bud? All right, so this would be a really quick and dirty way to do it, but it would still block moderators seeing it, so that's too simple to really get by. And I don't have anything about like when you're a moderator, but oh, that's when you get a thread. This would just omit deleted posts. So what we really want is when you get category. Post to a category. Scan a category, okay. So this is going to need revamped when we paginate, but that's a different topic. So category.threads. Oops. So what we should put is check if they're a moderator. Category.threads. So that would be it would be T for T. Minor distinction. If T dot posts 0 dot user dot ID not equals 0. Okay, that's the meat and potatoes of it. So now let's make it correct. So we have a category. We're looking for a category that has the ID they asked for. We're going to join that with permission sets where db permission set view is true. So where view is true, if you don't have view, then you can't do it. So let's just repeat that. It's kind of a chunky guy, but and it would be will just package up the sorted threads category. Okay. All right, so seems simple enough. Let's test it. I should probably commentate here as well. It's I don't worry about performance issues until I measure there's performance issues, but it still looks like it's a lot of permission checking. And I bet you if I did something clever, I could do it at the same time.
What do you need help with? Instead of screaming about it, how about you use some words? What do you need help with?
Let's test if it works.
Help you with what? Are you hungry?
Now when we get to categories, no categories visible. I need test data for this. Alright guys, I'm thinking of wrapping it up here. That's not bad for one day. I probably got... What am I working on right now? Deleting threads probably works. That's 1 out of 3 things, or 2 out of 3 things actually, that are in my backlog for this. So under delete threads, it's these 2 that are done. So the other thing I would need to add to finish up the feature would be make sure that you can't reply to a thread that the OP has been deleted. That's not terribly hard to do either. But these 2 need tested now, and to test them I'm going to need to actually carefully craft some data, like a little sequence. Like I'm going to have characters A and B. A makes a thread, B replies to it, then A deletes the original post, and B tries to grab it. So it just needs some testing, but I imagine that it's probably more or less fine. So thanks for coming out, everybody. That's gonna wrap up the stream for now. Not quite 3 whole features, but pod's working, user profile modifying, and took a solid crack at deleting threads. So thanks for coming out, and I'll see you guys for Citopia probably in 2 more weekends. So stay out of trouble.